Something big just happened, and most people have no idea how important it could become. While headlines focused on political drama and quick reactions, a deeper shift may be quietly unfolding behind the scenes. Imagine a future where Canada is not just reacting to decisions made in Washington, but confidently shaping its own strategic path with trusted partners. That possibility is no longer theoretical. It's starting to look real. And if this trend continues, it could influence everything from defense policy to trade relationships, and even the long-term strength of our economy. Today, we're breaking this down in a simple and clear way. What's happening, why it matters, and what it could mean for everyday Canadians. If you care about Canada's future and want calm, smart analysis without the noise, take a second right now to like this video and subscribe to the Maple Doctrine. It helps this channel grow and keeps serious Canadian conversations alive. Now let's get into it. Over the past few days, attention has grown around a developing defense and strategic funding partnership between Canada and Britain. On the surface, it may sound routine. After all, Canada and the United Kingdom share deep historical ties. We cooperate through NATO, share intelligence, and regularly conduct joint military exercises. So why is this different? The difference is in the tone and the timing. This partnership is being framed not just as standard cooperation, but as a stronger and more coordinated alignment that could operate with greater independence from traditional US-led structures. That detail is subtle, but powerful. For decades, Canada's defense strategy has been closely connected to the United States. Through NORAD and other agreements, North American security has functioned as a highly integrated system. That system is still in place, and it remains critical. But the global environment has changed. Rising tensions in Europe, instability in parts of Asia, and increasing competition between major powers have forced many countries to rethink how flexible their alliances should be. When Britain openly backs a Canadian-led initiative, it sends a signal beyond just the two countries involved. It suggests that Canada is not only participating in global strategy, but actively shaping it. That shift in perception matters. In international politics, perception can influence markets, alliances, and diplomatic leverage. Now, let's talk about the economic side. Defense partnerships are not just about military hardware. They often include technology development, cybersecurity systems, artificial intelligence research, and advanced manufacturing. When funding flows into these sectors, Canadian companies benefit. Universities receive research grants, skilled jobs are created, entire supply chains can expand. For everyday Canadians, this raises an important question. Does this strengthen our long-term stability, or does it risk tension with our largest trading partner, the United States? The honest answer is that it depends on how carefully the balance is managed. Canada and the US share one of the largest trading relationships in the world. Millions of jobs depend on that connection. Any perception of distance or friction could create uncertainty in markets. But diversification can also create resilience. Relying too heavily on one partner, even a close ally, can limit flexibility in a rapidly changing world. What we may be seeing is not a break from the United States, but a recalibration, a strategy focused on balance. Canada strengthening additional partnerships while maintaining its core alliances. In a world that is becoming more divided into economic and security blocs, countries that build layered relationships often gain more room to maneuver. This story is still developing, but one thing is clear. Canada appears to be positioning itself more confidently on the global stage, and the long-term impact of that shift could be much bigger than today's headlines suggest. When you're ready, type part 2, and we'll continue deeper into what this could mean for Washington, trade, and Canada's strategic future. Now let S take this a step further and look at how Washington might interpret all of this. Whenever Canada strengthens a major defense or strategic partnership outside the direct US framework, people naturally ask the same question. Is this a signal of distance, or is it simply smart diversification? From the American perspective, Canada has always been more than just a neighbor. It is a security partner, an economic partner, and in many ways, part of a shared continental system. NORAD, intelligence sharing, defense procurement, energy trade. These systems are deeply interconnected, so any shift in tone, even a subtle one, gets noticed. But here's the key point. Strong alliances are not weakened by additional partnerships. In fact, in many cases, they are strengthened. When Canada builds deeper ties with Britain, it does not automatically reduce cooperation with the United States. Instead, it can increase Canada's overall strategic value. A country that brings more partnerships to the table often gains more influence within existing alliances. Still, perception matters. If American policymakers believe that Canada is drifting strategically, that perception alone can shape trade discussions or defense negotiations. We've seen in the past how quickly trade disputes can escalate over tariffs, energy pipelines, or manufacturing rules. Even small disagreements can create uncertainty in markets. And markets do not like uncertainty. If investors sense friction between major trading partners, they respond quickly. Currency values shift, stock prices move, long-term contracts are reconsidered. That is why Canadian leaders must handle this balancing act carefully. It's not just about diplomacy, it's about economic stability at home. Now let's look at the trade dimension more closely. The United States remains Canada's largest trading partner by far. Billions of dollars in goods cross the border every single day. Auto manufacturing, agriculture, energy exports, these sectors are tightly integrated. Any serious strain in that relationship would have immediate consequences for jobs and prices. However, diversification is also a form of insurance. By strengthening ties with Britain and potentially expanding cooperation in Europe, Canada reduces the risk of being overly dependent on one market. In a world where global politics can change quickly, that kind of flexibility can be valuable. There's also a political layer to consider. Domestic audiences in both countries are paying attention. In Canada, some will argue that expanding strategic independence shows strength and maturity. Others will worry about unnecessary risk. In the United States, reactions may vary depending on the administration and the broader geopolitical climate at the time. What makes this moment interesting is the timing. The global order feels less predictable than it did a decade ago. Supply chain disruptions, energy shocks, regional conflicts, all of these events have reminded governments that resilience matters. And resilience often comes from having multiple reliable partners. So instead of seeing this development as a dramatic shift away from the United States, it may be more accurate to see it as Canada widening its strategic options, building layers rather than replacing foundations. At the Maple Doctrine, we focus on long-term trends rather than short-term headlines. And the long-term trend here appears to be clear. Canada is looking for balance, not confrontation, not separation. Balance. The real question is what happens next. Will this partnership remain symbolic, or will it evolve into something much larger, shaping defense production, technology cooperation, and even trade policy in the years ahead? In the final part, we all explore what this could mean for everyday Canadians, from jobs and investment to national identity, and whether this shift marks the beginning of a new era in Canadian strategy. So, what does all of this actually mean for everyday Canadians? Beyond strategy, beyond headlines, beyond political messaging, how could this affect real life? First, let's talk about jobs. When governments increase defense cooperation and strategic funding, that money does not just disappear into abstract policy. It flows into industries. Aerospace companies expand production. Technology firms compete for cybersecurity contracts. Universities secure research partnerships. Skilled workers are hired. Apprenticeships grow. Entire communities can benefit from long-term projects tied to defense manufacturing and advanced systems. If managed properly, this kind of partnership can strengthen Canada's innovation economy. It can encourage domestic production instead of relying heavily on foreign suppliers. In uncertain global times, building more capacity at home can increase both economic security and national confidence. Second, there's the issue of stability. Canadians value predictability. We want stable prices, steady employment, and reliable institutions. Strategic diversification, when done carefully, can protect that stability. If one global partner faces economic slowdown or political turbulence, having additional strong relationships can soften the impact. However, balance is everything. If Canada appears to shift too aggressively or create unnecessary friction with its largest trading partner, short-term volatility could follow. Currency markets react fast. Energy prices can fluctuate. Investment decisions can pause. That's why diplomacy and communication matter just as much as policy decisions themselves. There's also something deeper happening here. National identity. For decades, Canada has often been described as a middle power, cooperative, diplomatic, and closely aligned with larger allies. But middle power does not mean passive. It can mean strategic. It can mean flexible. It can mean thoughtful leadership in moments of global uncertainty. If Canada is indeed building a more layered alliance structure, that signals confidence. Confidence that we can maintain strong ties with the United States while also strengthening bonds with Britain and other democratic partners. Confidence that our economy is resilient enough to handle diversification. Confidence that our voice carries weight internationally. At the same time, citizens have every right to ask questions. How much will this cost? How will funds be allocated? What safeguards ensure transparency? In a democracy, strong strategy and strong accountability must go hand in hand. The bigger picture is this: the world is not becoming simpler. Power centers are shifting. Economic blocs are forming. Technology is reshaping security itself. In that environment, standing still is not a strategy. Adaptation is. What we may be witnessing is Canada adapting, carefully, gradually, and deliberately, not breaking alliances, not creating dramatic splits, but positioning itself to operate with greater flexibility in a more unpredictable world. And that's where you come in. Do you see this as a smart move towards strategic independence? Or do you think Canada should stay tightly aligned within its traditional framework without expanding beyond it? I want to hear your perspective. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with someone who follows global politics closely. Let's expand the conversation beyond headlines and into real discussion. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure you've liked the video and subscribed to the Maple Doctrine. This channel is about thoughtful, calm, and clear conversations about Canada's future, and your support makes that possible. The global landscape is shifting. The question is not whether change is coming. The question is whether Canada is ready for it. And that's a conversation we're just getting started.